Hello, everybody on YouTube and Facebook. Welcome to Jets Guru Live. We're here with half the crew yet again. We haven't been whole, but that's okay. It's kind of reflective of our real team. Our architect of the page who delivers all our music and nice, pretty things. That would be Aaron Rodgers. He would have gave us nice, pretty things this year, I believe. That's JR, but he'll be back soon. Kevin is actually cheating on us right now, if I'm not mistaken. And he's at I don't know, some Bears game or something. They suck. And we're here actually doing our family duty, our jobs, me and Liz on Jets Guru. I'm here every week, rain or shine, because it's my show. But see, we're a collective. So now I have to say it's our show, right? And now we have such a good fan base. We have people that contribute to the show. They send us stars on Facebook, and you could do that by right by the comment section. You see that little star? You can hit that, send us some stars to help support the show. People support the articles. People hate the articles. I hope all the haters are out there. I hope you're out there right now. Come watch the show. Come tell me I don't know anything about the Jets. Come tell me I'm a Zach Wilson lover when I put on the bottom 3 times on the article that we need to see more of Zach Wilson. Please come share it. Tell everyone I'm an idiot, but please hit the share button as you do it. We love all Jet fans, even the ignorant ones. Please come join us each and every week. And don't forget, guys, you guys are sleeping on this because I'm checking the numbers, okay? Spotify. We are back on Spotify. We are back on Apple, on iTunes. Just go in there, type in Jets Guru. There's a new episode up right now. We'll have another one later this week. So when you're driving to work or even when you're at work, your boss doesn't have to know. Just put that little iPod thing in your ear. He comes this way. It's on this side, right? You're good to go, right? So we can't, you can have Guru whenever you want Guru. So tune in, appreciate the support. But we got to eventually get to such an important game for the New York Jets. And that was Sunday night, another prime time game. uh, most people had the Jets completely out of it. And, Liz was at the game. I wasn't at the game. And on the TV screen, it was just so nauseating. And I love Taylor Swift. She's cool and all, very beautiful woman. But listen, come on. It was too much. It was constant. They weren't even talking about the Jets at all, which was disheartening. And then every time they did, it was always like something negative or scary, and it was just, I already had enough of that in my head. I already had enough of watching all my programs and everyone saying Zach Wilson sucks. I'm already in my head thinking Zach Wilson sucks. The first quarter happens, Liz, and we're sitting here, and I'm really just kind of like, I'm not upset because it's exactly what I expected to happen in the first quarter. But it was more like I just didn't know what to do with myself. And I'm like, I'm turning 39. Maybe I should do something else. Like maybe this is, I'm just doubting myself. And then all of a sudden, Patrick Mahomes starts to make just these little mistakes. And then Zach Wilson steps up and he shows up and he shows up from there on out the rest of the game. Tell me about it. You were there, you were in the stands. Tell me about what it was like before the game. Tell me what it was like the first quarter when we were down 17-0, and tell us what it was like when Zach Wilson started to show up.
All right, Daniel, let me tell you something. I'd say about 20% of the people that were there for Taylor Swift. But the Jets fans had one job: show up to the game. Don't sell your tickets to Chiefs fans, because I'm saying there was had to be 30-40% of the crowd was Chiefs fans. There was way too much of a sea of red there. But for those of us that play golf, Zach Wilson started with a little mulligan with that snap. We won't even discuss that. But that kid, all heart, all game. 245 yards, 2 touchdown passes, 28 out of 39 complete passes. He was on fire. And I honestly think that we saw Zach mature that game. He was, you know, like you said before, we talked a little bit, throwing it up the middle, unlike a few quarterbacks in the recent past have not been able to do. He just He just brought it. And, Bryce Huff brought it. Tipman. These guys played like it was the Super Bowl. They really did. They were shining stars. You know, we can't say the same for Dalvin Cook, not looking great. But Zach turned the corner. I don't think he's going to come out in Denver cocky. I think he's going to come out knowing he's got a job to do, knowing he's been handing the reins from the best of the best with Rodgers in his ear. And I think he's going to continue to grow and continue to shine. He was amazing. But the crowd when we first got there was a little leery, what's going to happen. Oh, this is the defending Super Bowl champions. But the crowd was into it from the beginning. Yeah, like I said, we're going to ignore that one little blip that Zach did. But it was a great game. And, who would have thought 23-20, we played a respectable game. If it wasn't for that one little mistake by Zach and the referees really screwing us, we would have had that game. We would have had it, no problem. Zach outplayed Mahomes. This was the greatest game that Zach could have had against him, and we outplayed him for the first time in his career. He got completely outplayed, and Zach Wilson was the one who did it to him. Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely, Liz. I agree with that. He played very well after the blip, but it was a big blip. I mean, and so like I'm gonna dive into this just a little bit. And one of the things is I just can't sit and pacify Zach Wilson, right? Because I'm not a lover of Zach Wilson. What I am is I'm a fan of the New York Jets. And the consistency has to happen more often. It's something where I understand that. Liz understands that. You understand that as fans, right? I think when we go about viewing Zach Wilson, we have to view this, and I'm viewing this from what I saw on Sunday. And so when we're talking about Zach Wilson, we're not talking about now he's going to go out and be the new Aaron Rodgers for us. What we're saying on Sunday is we saw a kid who played against a top 10 defense for this year, against a quarterback who, by all indications, might be the best of all time, that just won the Super Bowl, that is already off to a 3-1 start. They have the media behind them. They've got Taylor Swift behind them. They've got the Swifties behind them, right? And it's on Sunday night. This is a game where, I was talking to Liz before the show where, Sauce is probably getting text. Garrett Wilson's getting text like, boy, be ready. Be ready to be out on that field with that donut. Because that's just how guys are and that's how players are. They joke around. Got old Zach Wilson throwing you the football. And that's an immense amount of pressure. His career was technically on the line Sunday, Liz. If you think about it, it was on the line Sunday because if he would have stunk it up again, he would have been benched. And who would have really picked this kid up? The Jets have given him every opportunity imaginable for the return that they've gotten back for Zach Wilson. Okay. And they've actually given him talent that I guarantee if you ask Sam Darnold if this was the starting team that he would have gotten from his rookie year, would he have loved that? And he probably would have been like, yes, give me this defense. And I don't even like Sam Darnold, okay? I'd rather have Zach Wilson's skill set. You ask Geno Smith, you ask Mark Sanchez, would you rather have this? You go ask Ryan Fitzpatrick even if he'd like some of these skill position players. Man, this is a good football team. Is it the 85 Bears? No, it's not. And we'll get to the defense in a little bit. But I think what you have to do is say he had adequate protection. Okay. And that's really important to understand too. There were a lot of times where Zach Wilson had time to actually throw the football. And this time, when he had time, because last week he had time as well. And last week we went through all the grades of the offensive linemen. And the passing grades were pretty good with the exception of McGovern. Now I have to get people, they take offensive line stats like there's like secrets, and so they're really hard to get. But when you look at it, when you look at the Jets, they're getting better. They're gelling. This is the fourth, fifth game now. And when you listen to Steve Young and you talk about his evaluation of football, he says it takes about 4 or 5 weeks for their team to get an identity. For the Jets, it might take even longer because the guy where the offense was built around, that identity is gone. It's shattered. So now they're saying to themselves, how do we build this offense I came here for Aaron Rodgers to do? Now I have to have Zach Wilson, a struggling young quarterback, to come out and do. And I think you saw the struggles because they were trying to protect him too much. They were trying to say, let's put it all on the defense and let's protect Zach. But at the same time, they were handcuffing him. They were making the offense too vanilla. They were making the offense too easily disguisable. They were making their play series, their play-by-play action too easily discoverable. You're going run, run, pass, run, run, pass, run, run, pass. There was no mix-up. You couldn't do play action because there was no creativity. Now you have Zach Wilson stunted. Now he's kind of sitting there kind of like, oh man, like these guys don't even want me to throw the ball. You're kind of doubting yourself in this sense. Then you have guys dropping the football on a third down where you're like, oh man, I needed that. Then you're not running the football well. And I said before, and I'll say this again, even when the run sucks, you need to run the football. We had 6.8 yards per carry, mostly because of Breece Hall, but you still have to run it. The fact that I couldn't even believe how they opened it up for Zach Wilson. And honestly, Liz, I really believe that the Jets were willing to sacrifice Zach Wilson. I am not lying to you. I believe that they threw the ball 39 times and ran it 16 times when they have Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook and Michael Carter and all that, because they realize if they don't do it, they're definitely going to lose, and they need to see what could this kid do under pressure. And I think he really, really, really shined. And so for me, moving on to Denver, that is the biggest test, Liz. We just said this in post game. This is the biggest test. He has to replicate what he did against Kansas City. Now, against Kansas City, he was 28 for 39, 245, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, which is great. Okay. You love that. Okay. Only 2 sacks in this game, which is good. Okay. 6.8 yards per carry. The offensive line was blocking a lot better in this game than the last one, but they're going to have to run the ball a little bit more against the Broncos, and they're going to have to try to slow down time a little bit if they can, but they still have to attack. And that's just something that we're going to have to see on Sunday. Do they still open it up? Do they still play the Chiefs again? How they played against the Chiefs? Do they still open it up like that against Zach Wilson now that they know that he's competent per se to go and play out that game plan that they've laid out? Um, uh, for me, I don't know. The jury's still out. Now, like I said, people killed me, Liz, that I was a super supporter of Zach Wilson, which all I was discussing was Sunday's game. But do you really think that he's going to be able to replicate that against the Broncos?
I do. I think that he saw himself that he can do it, and he's not going to go in there cocky. He's going to go in there with a mindset like, this is my job. This is what I have to do. This is what the fans paid to see, and this is what, my coaches are confident in me because I'm in here again as number one. And I do. I think he's a little bit better every week. I think he's going to improve every week. And I know there's going to be a lot of haters that are going to say, like, it was one game. It was one game against the Chiefs. Now, a lot of the fans I talked to before, during, after the game were like, oh, well, we're going to have a piece of cake in Denver. We can't go in with that attitude
No.
ever, whether we're playing a high school team or whether we're playing the Denver Broncos. We can't have that mindset. But I think Zach is going to improve every week just a little bit better. It's going to go from 2 sacks to one. It's going to go from 245 to 300. I just, me, I'm never, ever, ever going to be negative, but I just see it happening. I have confidence in that kid, and I think that he's still in there for a reason. A lot of us wanted him to be benched after the first game that he poorly played, but I think he's going to improve every single week. I do, and I think the defense is going to get stronger and stronger and more scary. And I think our O line is really going to start to make us proud, prouder than we already are of them.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Liz, when you look at the defense for the Jets, a lot was put on their shoulders. The offense really struggled the last couple of weeks, and the defense took the brunt. oh, you're not the 85 Bears, you're not this, you're not how go look up the 85 Bears. Look who
Mm-hmm.
they had on that team. Okay? Like you have to be able to move the ball somehow.
Right.
Everyone's like, yeah, but look at the Ravens. They didn't have good quarterback play. If I'm not mistaken, didn't they have Jamal Lewis on that team?
Yep.
I mean, guys, you have to be able to move the ball somehow, and the Jets have not been able to move the football. So you're putting the defense in bad field position every time. Go back and look at the last couple of weeks. Shoot, go look back at that Patriots game. Look at where Mac Jones was able to start in the beginning of that game to get in rhythm. He was at his 35, at his 40, at his 30. Look at where the Jets are starting at their 10, at their 15, at their 20. And then they're clamping down on the offense, run pass, or not really expanding on the offense, and you're not creating when you do get the ball at the 45 or the 50. I
Mm-hmm.
really wish they would have opened it up like they did against the Chiefs, against the Pats. Now they took the safe route because the weather was pretty bad too, and the ball was slippery, so they knew it was going to be a conservative game. But I'm interested to see how they play against the Broncos for sure, 100%. Now, this is more of a winnable game for me, more so. The Kansas City Chiefs had the third best offense. They have the third best offense in the league, Liz. We're going down playing a team that's like 15th in the league, like midway in the league. If I'm these players, I'm thinking, come with that same intensity that we came against Mahomes. Try to ruin Russell Wilson. Say, oh my gosh, let's ride right to retirement. That's what we need to do, Russ, and just get to him, because the one thing the Jets have not been able to do is sack the quarterback. They've been putting pressure on, they've been causing some disruption, but people say those two interceptions that they got against Mahomes, at least two of them, were him just playing around with his touch and trying to kind of sail it over. Regardless, the Jets were in the right position, right? So you got to give them credit there. I think if you look at the Jets have been in the right position all year. And you can't tell me that they just haven't executed and closed. Remember the drop sacks from Mosley, the drop sacks from Gardner, over the last couple of games. And there's been other ones as well. The Jets are in position to make really big plays as a defense. They just got to seal it. And I think in the last game, they were ready to take it. And the refs really got into this game a little too much. And me and Liz spoke about it, guys. They really did. And please share on all your pages. We don't curse and we don't talk about politics. We just talk about Jets football and Jets talk. So please share, help support the show. Really appreciate it, guys. And I really appreciate you guys on YouTube and Spotify and Facebook listening. So thank you very much. But you look at that, Liz, and when you get a big turnover like that, and and then you look at the penalties and you're just like, that's not a penalty. And it's really frustrating. And then you see the non-called penalties, like the Jermaine Johnson hold on the third and forever that Mahomes wind up securing. These are all opportunities that the Jets missed. And people, they're calling the conspiracy game because Zach Wilson they were so attuned in that game to the offense. I think there was a lot of support behind him. I think there was an energy, at least from me on the outside looking in on the TV. So I know the fans had an energy. And for those of you that said, well, look at Zach Wilson towards the end of that game, he didn't look great. Well, neither did Patrick Mahomes either. It was a tough game, and the teams are really fighting for yards, but he didn't do anything besides that fumble at the end, which was tough. It was tough for him. It wasn't a great snap, but you touch the ball. And if you're touching the ball, it goes on you. It's the same for the receiver. If you put the ball in the place and it hits those fingertips, if you're my best receiver, you got to go and get it. You're our quarterback. It's a tight game. You cannot fumble there. That ultimately costs you the game. I'm not even going to blame it on any missed field goals or anything like that. That cost you the game because your offense was rolling. You were rolling that game. Another thing too, the penalties prevented an ending to a very fabulous game for Sunday Night Football. And these are the things that make TV memories for fans. And I'm just getting sick of watching the NFL get destroyed by flags. Now, when I was a kid, Liz, and I know you've been watching football for years too, I just don't remember flags being that important as it's been like the last 20 years, let's say. It's just become so unwatchable at times. And it's always in these important moments that just get really, really, really annoying. And you prevented, I wanted to see Zach Wilson drive, right? And was that hold really that egregious? I mean, I'd have to look at the tape to see if it was even 5 yards. I doubt if it even was that long. And it was an uncatchable ball. The ball would have to be on the inside shoulder, Liz, not on the outside where Michael Carter wind up catching it. That's
Right.
completely uncatchable for you to call that hold. And if I'm not mistaken, I have to see the play again, Liz, but I think the flag was even thrown late where you can even see that the ball would have been uncatchable at that point. It was a
Right.
horrible call. There was a few of them. I don't blame Robert Saleh for getting mad. Some people say that he has to grow up and you have to think you don't want to get a penalty in any situation. I also think you have to show a lot of passion as well at that point. I think Saleh knew what that meant for his team. You're playing the defending champs. You're playing a playoff team. When those things happen, it's hard to come back from those because those were gifts that were just like there and you took it. You were in position and you seized it, and someone threw a flag that just didn't need to be thrown at that time. And now you don't have the opportunity. And now that other team is going to close you out. And that's exactly what they did because that's what great players do. They close out games. And that's what Mahomes did. The heady play to come out and then slide right on the 1 yard line, and he danced a little bit there. And people are like, he's showing off. You're damn right he's showing off. This kid has done everything right pretty much since he's come in the NFL. And he's a great player. And he just beat a very good defense. And listen to what the Chiefs said after the game. They didn't have to say that about the Jets. They were
Mm-hmm.
very complimentary. And in fact, there's a clip of, I forgot which reporter, trying to bait Chandler Jones into saying something bad about Zach Wilson. And he's like, I'm not going to say anything bad about the kid. Like, he played really well. And everyone, even the words that Mahomes said to him, like, they really pushed this team. They could have beat the Chiefs. And I think they knew that, or they at least would have got to the point where it would have been even closer than what it was because of the refs. The Chiefs were off. The Jets took advantage. By the time the Chiefs woke up again, they were even with the Jets. The Jets kind of knew what they wanted to do. Knew what the Jets wanted to do, and it would have been nice to see Zach Wilson drive, and there wouldn't have been. Imagine if he would have drove down and and won that game. Like, imagine what we would have been talking about today. First of all, the fumble doesn't exist anymore. Second of all, we're definitely pumped for the Broncos, and we can't wait to get the Phillies in our building the next weekend after that, to get the Eagles in our building. So this is a huge game for Zach Wilson. If he comes out, he doesn't have to give me what he gave me last week. If Zach Wilson comes out and he give me 17, don't give me 28 for 39. Give me more around the 17 for 28. I don't want to see this kid throwing 40 times. Give me 220 plus. Give me
Yeah.
2 touchdowns. Give me 0 turnovers. And the Jets are going to win this game, Liz. If you had to put a final score on it, what would be your final score?
24-7 Jets.
Oh, Liz is turning it up at home. The Broncos, the Let's Ride. I'm going to go 21-17 Jets. The Broncos aren't as bad as Miami showed them to be, but they're beatable. And if you played against the champs with all that pressure on riding on you, you can go and play against this Broncos team. But the Jets have to be able to run the football. That offensive line could be gelling. I like that Tippmann's playing now. Honestly, in my personal opinion, I would love to see Tippmann play center and have McGovern out of the lineup entirely, but I know we can't do that right now. I don't have any support for players that talk about their fans, the people who pay money to come out and
Yeah.
support your salary and your sport. We just saw another Giants player say something 10 times worse
Yeah.
than what McGovern said. And no right, because he's played like hot garbage.
Yeah.
This isn't like, Aaron Rodgers saying it about the fans. You know why? Because Aaron Rodgers would never say that about the fans, because he's smart enough to know that the fans are a huge part of his fandom and the team's fandom. And if he was to say something like that, he would be eloquent enough and smart enough to single out those particular type of fans but also, throw some shine and grace on the Jet fans like Liz, who spend a lot of time organizing events and going to places and doing things and meeting players and spending their money just like all you guys do. As you can see behind her, the whole room is decked out in green. That doesn't come free. And people work hard for their money. And so people have to start respecting that if they're going to get respect back. And I think the Giants need to teach their players a level of class, I might say, because that's not the way to go about doing it. Now, 21-17. I'm sticking with it. That's it. But let's get into a little bit, Liz, about Aaron Rodgers' return. He was on the Pat McAfee show, and he was talking about, that he's been out of the boot earlier than most people at this time. He's really doing. So he didn't really outline what are the things that he's doing differently. I think this is him just kind of talking, playing with people. He likes to do that. Some people don't like that from him. I think it's funny. I mean, this is entertainment too, guys. Come on. Let's get serious. Like sometimes you guys act like these football players are like supposed to be running for president or something. Now they do make a lot of money, so they definitely shouldn't be like getting arrested and doing stupid things like that across the city and state. But he's on the media and he's on the Pat McAfee show. He's not necessarily having an interview to get into Mensa or something like that. So it's like, it's like chill out. He's having fun with his guys and he's having a good time. But I don't know. What do you think, Liz? Do you think it's possible? Like a lot of people say that it's just absolutely impossible for him to come back in that time frame at his age. I mean, he's not a running back, so I don't know. What do you think?
He's 39 years old. An Achilles tear is an Achilles tear. It's not going to be bionic. He's not going to get a fake Achilles implanted into his foot or his ankle. He's got to heal, and coming back too soon is really going to, jeopardize him playing, his career. I think he's just giving us lip service, and like I said, I think he thinks he's the bionic man, and yeah, he came out of the boot earlier. Maybe against doctors' advisement to do that. We haven't heard the doctor's perspective on it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think he's just trying to give us a little hope to hang in there and uh, show us that we still could have a great season. We are going to have a great season with Zach, and I think he should just chill out till next season and heal and make sure he's 100% ready.
Do you think it's possible that, Liz, that he's saying it to kind of maybe subconsciously take some pressure off of Zach Wilson? Because he does like play those mind games to like, hey, Aaron might be coming back. I just got to kind of hold it together till he gets here. Not like, hey, kid, the whole season's on you. Like, hey, I might come back, man. Just hold it up for me until I can get here. Do you think there's a little bit of that going on over there?
I think that a young guy like Zach and the majority of the team might shy away from those type of things, like Pat McAfee and other sports shows. I don't even know if Zach saw that. So, who knows if Aaron's saying it to him, like, "Oh, I think I'm going to come back sooner. Don't you worry, kid. You just hang in there for the next couple games." Yeah, I don't even know if he's watching that. It's not Jets Guru. It's Pat McAfee. Who are they?
Yeah. Oh, I love you, Pat. Please come on our show, please. I'd love to have you. Please.
AJ Hawk, him too.
Love him. I love that show. It's great.
Yep, I do too. But yeah, I don't know if the young guys pay too much mind to that. So we'll
I
see.
don't know. It could be, I think they do, and I think that him throwing it out there and even like some of the things that he said is they're like subliminal messages to the team because he knows that there'll be headlines that'll be spread across the Jet Airways. Shout out to District 5, Mighty Ducks, by the way. But yeah, I'm excited for this game because I think one of two things are going to happen. Either Zach Wilson's going to come out and they're going to come out with that game plan and it's going to happen again. And then we can get a little bit excited. Like, okay, I think they found a plan that works for his skill set. They could replicate it as long as they could run the ball. They don't need to run the ball for 180 yards. They just have to be comparable, and if they bust one or two, like Brees was able to get a nice run in, then those are the things that you need, you know. But you got to look at this from defensively. You're licking your chops, Liz, and you're saying we just played against Mahomes and Kelsey and company. Oh, we really have to go after this guy. I think this game is going to come down to that Jets defensive line. I think Quinnen Williams has to get mad like he did last year, where he told Ulbrich, like, you don't have to send the blitzes. We got it up front. It's like, all right, well, come on then. Let's get it going. And then all of a sudden that's when they turned it on, and that's when he really started to cement himself. And that was right around the fourth or fifth game of the season. And so um, shout out to Mosley. I love watching him play football. His coverage grade has been really good as well. And we've spoke about Mosley, and he had to change how he played football to fit into Robert Saleh's system. He
Mm-hmm.
realized in Robert Saleh's system, I can go out here and I can make plays, but it's a high energy defense. And there's a lot of responsibility and there's a lot more coverage in this defense. And, both him and Quincy Williams have done an excellent job in coverage. And I thought linebacker was going to be our weakest point this year, and it hasn't. It's really just been the offense. And you saw that when the offense started to wake up, the defense started to wake up a little bit, because how much could this team say, oh man, we're going to get thrown out here again? How much could this team say, oh, we're down again, we're playing from behind? How much this team could say, oh, we're playing in negative field position again? How much times could these teams keep saying these things before they eventually just kind of like takes the edge off? But when you know your offense is pushing you and they're scoring points, like, yeah, come on, buddy, let's go. I thought you guys are the best. I'm putting up points. You're like, oh snap, Zach's putting up points. All right, let's turn it up a little bit, right? So, like Kevin always says, and like we always agree with, we need to run the football. Like David said, Brees Hall is their best offensive player. I would say that's Garrett Wilson. And Liz, we just spoke about this the last guru. Didn't we say? We said it. I don't care if you're throwing 18 bubble screens to Garrett Wilson. You have to get the ball in his hands in space. A missed tackle, even if it's 4 or 5 yards, is better than 0 yards and an incompletion. Get the ball in his hands, do anything necessary to extend the drive. And I think that's the best way that the Jets could get their offense going, Liz.
Because he's going to bring it in. Garrett's going to bring it in no matter where you throw it, to his left, to his right, in the center. He's going to bring it in and he's going to go. How often do you see him drop the ball? I know it happened the other day, but like he's amazing. Just get the ball right in his general area and he's going to bring it in. He's amazing. He's something else, that kid.
Yep, 14 targets, Liz. That's crazy. So
Yeah,
14 of the 39 attempts, almost half of the attempts, Liz, were to Garrett Wilson. And I think that is so damn smart of them, because
yeah.
that is exactly what the Minnesota Vikings do with Justin
Justin
Jefferson and
Jeff.
what the 49ers do with Debo Samuel and all these types of guys. You have to feed your best players. The only thing that they could do more is run the ball a little bit more. But I understand how they had to throw a little bit there. You're down 17-0. You have to escape a little bit. But I would urge them still throw on first down. Would urge them get the running game going so you can get that play action going. Um, I like that Zach was spreading the ball around. That means he's reading the defense. So he was able to do that as well. Even though so it's like it wasn't just he was just feeding Garrett Wilson, feeding Garrett Wilson, feeding Garrett Wilson. He was feeding Garrett Wilson, but he was also feeding other people too. It was just that, like, hey, this is the best receiver we have in our whole grouping, even out of the tight ends. I'm going to feed this guy. Like, Conklin had a really good game too. And how often do we talk on Jets Guru? We never see the tight ends get involved. It makes no sense. You have
Mm-hmm.
two guys, actually three now, that can play tight end, and Jeremy Ruckert's starting to emerge. And Conklin has always been good and capable. I like him. Now, he's got to make that catch in the end zone, Liz.
Oh,
But here's the thing. That's a throw where I think Aaron Rodgers, right? I think that ball just rises up just a little bit further, and he's able to get the touchdown. It's
mm-hmm.
just, those are the little things that great players do. But it was hit him in the hands. He should have caught the ball. But he's emerging. He's emerging. He's emerging. So I think you have to be able to spread the ball out. And here's another thing. It's the rhythm and tempo, Liz. And that's what I was talking about too. Zach's got to get the ball out. Like, we blame the offensive line a lot, but if you look at the best quarterbacks in the NFL, they get the ball out, I think, like 2.5 seconds or something like that. Like, it's Liz, 1, 2. Ball's got to come out, Liz. So
Right.
we're sitting here blaming the offensive line week after week. Oh, what are they doing? Well, look at that play. It's a 9-second play. How long
Yeah.
do you expect? How long do you expect them to block for? When you see guys drop back and when it's like 1, 2, and they're hit before they even go up for their 2, that's when it's bad. Look at the
Right.
Jets line. There's not a lot of that going on. And when
No.
there is, there's enough time because the rest of the line is not collapsing where you can move. I think the Jets are getting better on the offensive line. They have to stay healthy. I think the offensive line looks better with Dwayne Brown out. And I think the Jets know that, and I think they've seen that now. So hopefully they can get some consistency together. They better take that confidence from last game into this one. I think that's important. As far as, again, Aaron Rodgers, as far as him coming back, I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's lip service, like you're saying. I would love for him to come back. But here's the question I pose to you. Let's say that he is ready the last game of the season. You can get him a warm up game before going into the playoffs. Well, if we're going into the playoffs, Liz, that means that Zach probably won quite a few games there.
Right.
And I'm assuming that it's going to be the way he's playing now because it doesn't look like the Jets can get away with just defense and running like they did last year when Zach was playing. Do you take Zach Wilson out at that point,
Nope.
or do you just let say Rodgers be there for him, be in his ear, and we'll see where this goes, and you take it next year?
Right. Give him to the half. See how he's doing. Like you said, if he gets us that far, there's got to be a reason he got us that far. It was everybody improving, including Zach. So no, you don't take him out immediately because you know Aaron came back. Absolutely not. No, you
Yeah,
got to.
I agree with that too, Liz. And I think if you're gonna take that 5th year option, you're gonna keep him there. I think that would be great for him to get some kind of playoff experience. And if somehow something happens and everything clicks and you happen to go to an AFC championship game or even a Super Bowl with him, well, there you go. Right? And then hey, then you have a good problem on your hand. You have a young kid that's gonna say, hey, I took you to the Super Bowl, man. I want to start. And then you got a veteran that's going to say, hey, I'm healthy and I'm in the best shape ever. And I'd rather have that problem, Liz, than not make the playoffs and be a 3-win team. So who cares what happens at that point? Right?
Exactly. Yep.
Yep. So like for me, the way I see it is, I'd prefer Rodgers to wait. The big thing for the Jets is regardless of whether Rodgers comes back, if we don't beat the Broncos this week, you could forget about it. If the Jets don't beat the Broncos this week, 1-4, you got Philadelphia at home, which if the Jets lose to the Broncos, I'm assuming it's because Zach Wilson played a really bad game. The Jets are going to be reeling at that point, and there's a good chance by the time I forgot, Liz, who did they play after you have the Eagles? Is there a bye week after that?
Yep.
And then after that, I believe it the Dolphins or the
It's
Giants?
the October 29th, the Giants.
The Giants. Okay. So, that could be a get back game. But listen, we spoke about it before. If the Jets want to make the playoffs, technically they have to be within 1 to 2 games of 500 at all times
Right.
leading into December. So they can't be too far out of it. So if they get to 1-4, that's 3 games out of 500. That's just going to be a little too far for them to overcome, in my personal opinion. So like they need to beat the Broncos, and they'll be 2-3. Then from that point, once they beat the Broncos and they're 2-3, there's a good chance that they could lose to the Eagles. The Eagles are just a better team, period. Okay, but you're at home. Maybe you could sneak a win. But let's say they lose there, they get to 2-4. Then you get your bye week, right? You have 2 weeks to prepare for the Giants, who are reeling themselves. You go in there, it's technically a home game, even though there's Giant fans there. And the way the Giants are playing, maybe we could get some reverse psychology, Liz, and we could take the Giants home tickets and we could show up in green like so many people show up in our stadium like that. That would be kind of cool to do something like that. And that could be a get back game, and the Jets could be 3-4 at that point. And then, Liz, the schedule starts getting a little bit weaker. You start playing teams like the Falcons, the Chargers, who kind of don't know who they are at different times. You play a get back game against New England at the end of the year. Like the Browns, I think with their running back issues, and I don't
Mhm.
think they're a great team. I think the Jets could really have a good season if they could be around that 3-4 range. But if not, Liz, they could tailspin into a 1-5, 1-6, and then there's going to be finger pointing, and that's going to start happening. They're a young team. Rodgers isn't really in the building, and he's there, but like when you're not playing every day and you're getting your butt whooped, it's going to kind of be hard to be like, hey guys, come on, let's keep it together. It's like, dude, we're 1-7, man. This guy sucks. And you told us he was going to be good, Aaron. So uh, really this, if Zach Wilson could get through this season, I think there's a lot of value to him than you think, because this is not easy. Now, he's not a kid. We got to stop calling him a kid. He's a grown man, Liz. At his age, I was doing grown man stuff. So he's a
Mhm.
grown man, but it's not easy what he's doing, and it is a very top elite league or club, whatever you would call it, and he's having adjustment problems. I think the Jets unlocked a key in him offensively. He looked like the Zach Wilson of his rookie year. He looked confident throwing the football. The ball came out with a zip. He looked taller, the way he just held himself, and he looked confident, because I think he realized, I'm about to show these guys what I could do. I could rip the ball out here a little bit. I can make some nice throws, like that back shoulder throw to the tight end early in the game when he first started getting going. Like it, he could do these things, and he knows he has the talent. He just has to go out, and he has to cement it. So the way I see it is, Jets win 21-17. Jets get back on track. Now, here's the thing, Liz. If we go and we beat the Eagles now, just somehow at home, now we're 3-3, going to play. Just said it, Liz. What did I say there? After
Bye week, then the
bye
Giants.
week, then the Giants. Now it's getting exciting. So I don't want to look too far ahead, but this is a must win against the Broncos. Now, Liz, tell me a little bit, because I know you're out and about in the Jets world. We had the autograph signing. We had the Joe Klecko experience there at halftime. Tell us a little bit more about some of those things as well.
Oh, amazing. Joe Klecko, I've, big fan of his from way back when. And Kevin and I were honored to go onto the field, stand in the formation of a 7-3 on the field wearing our Klecko jerseys. And the majority of the jerseys that you saw at the stadium were 7-3 and supported Joe. And he got quite the ovation that you'd expect. And he gave a beautiful speech. He got a little choked up at the end, which was really nice to see. He gave a big shout out to the fans, to his teammates, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful event. The weather was perfect. It was probably 80, 78, 80 degrees. And then, yeah, that's how halftime went on Sunday. And then this week, I got to go to a little signing with Quinnen and Quincy, and they were as gracious and wonderful as they could be. Such nice young men. And I did give them our business card, told them to tune into Jets Guru for us, and hopefully they're going to check us out, maybe join us on the show one day. And then I had a really, really nice conversation with Xavier Gibson, and he could not be more humble, more sweet, more appreciative of the nice things I said about him. I told him every single time I watched Hard Knocks, when he was told, and Brownlee was told that they made the team, and I cried every time, and I started welling up like I always do when I was telling him about that story. And then for him, with that punt return, and how much we're behind him and how happy we are for him, it was just a special, special moment. And I was thrilled to be there. And the same place in Jersey is having an event in 2 weeks with a couple guys. You may have heard of them, Garrett Wilson and Brees Hall. And if I'm not working, I'm going to be at that event as well. So yeah, I just like to be out and about, and tell my players how much I adore them and how much I'm behind them and I love them, and it's just exciting times. Yep, a lot of fun.
Absolutely, 100%, Liz. You gotta take me to the high places when I get there, whenever I get there.
Anytime.
I think Zach has inspired me. He's got one more challenge for me to get to the home game because I live 5 hours away. So for me to have to trek down there and then have to on a work day the next day, you're gonna have to show me a little bit more here. I admit I do sell my tickets, Liz, so I don't know who buys them all the time, but I need to make my money back. I'm raising a family here, so if I'm going to support the team and buy tickets, they're going to have to show me something. So I think I can. I see. The thing is, for me, and here's another thing, guys. What's going on with the airlines? Right? It's crazy. Like right once it gets to November, I'm only taking an hour flight to get to the stadium, and they charge me like regular prices, like $600 or whatever. So I'm gonna try to make it to. I really want to go. There's a game that we have, which I don't know if they're gonna flex this out. We play Miami, I think, on November 24th on a Friday at 3 p.m. It's just like a weird time. That's the game that I want to try to make it to, and I know it's if I don't drive and weather at that time, which I don't know because snow in New York has got pushed back more and more and more as the years have gone on. So it might be good, but that's the game I want to go to right there. So maybe you could take me to go see someone special, Liz, at that game, but we'll see. I don't know what's going on, but thank you guys for tuning in so much. We really appreciate the support. Again, thank you for those of you who sent in stars. You could do that right next to the comment section on Facebook. There's a little star to help support the show. Please check us out on Spotify as we have new episodes. Just type in Jets Guru. We're also on Apple Play. I think that's what it's called if you have an Apple phone or iTunes, wherever you listen to your podcasts on Apple will be in there. Just type in Jets Guru. Thank you for YouTube chiming in. I know there's a couple people on YouTube that chime in that aren't on Facebook. So thank you for your support. I really appreciate that. And thank you to the regulars, that I always see and our friends that come in and join us and all the other Jets pages that are out there. Just don't consume our stuff. Go and consume other people too. There's some people that have some great Jets pages out there. We're not here to step on anyone on our way to the top. We'll get to the top just by being the best that there is, anyways. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will see you next week, next Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And you will also see me after the Jets game for my post-game report right here on Facebook live. So just tune in. So thank you very much. Have a great night. Be safe. JETS, 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 Jets.